Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Foot Traffic. Today, I get to interview my friend Shawn Wells. He has a new book coming out, The Energy Formula. And the reason I said you've got to come on and share this with our listeners is because it's not something we talk about often enough, but it's something that I'm incredibly passionate about. And I'm doing all the time behind the scenes that you just don't get to see. So if you've listened to one of my episodes, like Stacy's favorite things, you know how important health is to me because I share with you all the things I do. Well, Shawn is somebody who, literally titled the world's greatest formulator. You will hear all the incredible things that he does and he promotes, and he is just like this incredible biohacker where we're friends, where I will text him, what do you think about this, what do you think about that, all the things. Like, he is so incredible. What I want you to understand is that as an entrepreneur, what we do is really hard. It's really taxing on our bodies, on our brains. We are physically, mentally, emotionally exhausted sometimes. We need to be fueling our body with the absolute best ingredients. We need to be taking care of our brain, of just everything that it's going to take to run a successful business. If you want to grow $1 million business, if you want to have a crazy successful business, it's going to take a lot out of you. Your body, your brain, your emotional, your mental health, like, this is going to need to be at an absolute peak performance. And some of you, not pointing any fingers here, but some of you know you've been slacking in this area. And I really want you to take what Shawn has to say and start to ask yourself, where can baby steps start happening? Not that you're going to pull everything like tomorrow. He actually says in their experiment, one thing at a time. Let's see what happens. I'm going to challenge you to experiment. So enjoy this episode because I think we can all learn something about, treating ourselves a little bit better, because we are a major important part of our business and we need to be taking care of our bodies and our brains to make sure that we're maximizing our businesses. All right, listen up. You're gonna love this episode. You're gonna love Shawn, and make sure to go follow him after and go grab his new book out. Hi there, I'm Stacy Tuschel, and I help small business powerhouses maximize their time and multiply their profits. If you are looking for business consulting advice, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you never miss a video again. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Foot Traffic. Today, I have Shawn Wells, who is a good friend. We used to be in a mastermind together, and I am so excited to bring him to you. He's like my buddy that I can text a quick question to about like anything biohacking, because you know how much I love biohacking. He's the guy, and I get to share him with you today. His new book, The Energy Formula, is coming out, and we're going to dive in. So, Shawn, welcome to today's show.
Thank you for having me on. It's so good to see you.
Yes, I love that we get to catch up, and what better way to do it and let everybody listen so they can get on the same page and really use this formula that you're going to be talking about. So, can you give a little background about how you got into this, just your story, and then we'll dive into some questions.
My story. Well, let's see. I'm a biochemist, a registered dietitian, and certified sports nutritionist. I had just a rough childhood. Really, a lot of bullying. I was uh, overweight, broken home, all that kind of stuff, and I just kind of put myself into junk food.
Mm.
So I wasn't the most popular kid, and eventually I was just pushing so hard to lose weight, to become accepted, to get good grades, to work out, and all these different things that my body turned on me. Just
Mm.
really bad autoimmune issues. And I was struggling to even get out of bed. And I had Epstein-Barr, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, Hashimoto's. It was like just a full-on body breakdown. And that's when I really started diving into nutrition, keto, biohacking. And, there's always a reason, right, for all this
Yeah.
stuff. So I was just trying to fix myself. And
Hmm.
then along the way, I just got to help a lot of people. So uh, it's been amazing. And now I'm speaking on all these stages and all
Yeah.
these TV shows and documentaries and things like that. But I'm known as a formulator. I've been called the world's greatest formulator, and I've formulated over 500 products. patented about 10 ingredients. And the biohacking stuff is just stuff I put out for my own enjoyment because I still want to help other people and help them live better lives. And with the energy formula, my book that'll be coming out, it's an acronym for experiment like biohacking, nutrition like keto and paleo, exercise like high intensity interval training, routines like morning and nighttime routines, growth like mindset and fasting. And then the last one is your tribe, which you are in my tribe. But the final piece of this is really, I would like to say that I've been working on all these biohacks and fixing myself and magic pills and potions and devices. But for the longest time, if it wasn't for COVID, I wouldn't have taken the step back to really work on my heart and soul. I had really been trying to hack my way to better health, and I think I was just hacking my way to pushing myself harder. And I kept leveling up, if you want to look at it like that, and becoming more successful, but not happier. And even when I started this book, I was just putting in all the hacks that I knew how to put in. But then, like, because of all this stuff that I've been working on, plant medicine, therapy, like mentors, all this kind of stuff that I now have time for and have made time for. I kind of like rewrote the book. Like I went back and rewrote it from like a different perspective. It's like it's still all the science, but it's a little bit more woo too.
Okay, I love that though, because you're right. Like our personalities, we get addicted to some of these things and we don't know how to like to stop, to go, okay, I'm there. I need to slow down and just maintain. We just keep going and going. And sometimes we have to know like where our limits are. So I love that you just said that.
Well, I'm coming to believe now like that needs to be the foundation. And I really went at it backwards.
Yeah.
And I actually say in the book, I came up with another acronym, like, you know, talking about like pills and magic pills. And I'm known for pills as a
Yes.
formulator. And I want the quick fix solution all my life. But the pills that I was trying to build this whole thing on now, my foundation is purpose, like start with your why. I mean, you have to have your passion, right? Um, intention, massive, like setting goals, asking questions, looking for answers, having metrics. Like, I mean, even with weightlifting, there's, you know, they talk about intention, like it's kind of that mind muscle connection where you think your way through what's happening, you know, at peak contraction, the whole thing, like you become more mindful, more present. Um, then love, like self-love, this is the biggest one. And every time I enter the plant medicine space, that is typically my intention, is just to grow in self-love. I mean, everything radiates from there. Like you really can't truly love someone else correctly unless you are loving yourself. And then lessons. I believe that you can win or learn. There is no losing. And if you're learning, then you're winning. So you win or you win.
Yeah.
And that's been a big lesson that's come to me over time. And then the last one is science. Just and I think science is like the wisdom of the people that have gone before us. And so I'm just starting to look at like, this is like, okay, this is my foundation. Now I can do the biohacking. Now I can do the talk about circadian rhythm and peptides and supplements and keto and paleo and all these things. That's all cool. But the goal is to put more life in your years than years in your life, like Jay Shetty said. So like
Yeah.
I've really come to believe that it's about quality of life, not quantity. But the thing is, if you live with better quality, you end up getting more quantity.
Right. It goes together.
Yeah.
So it's funny because you said like the science is the last part of this, but for so many people, it's the first part. Like, teach me how to do this, teach me the strategy. That's where they start. So it's
Yeah.
so interesting. Okay, so let's dive into these six different pillars, if you don't mind. And one thing I want to share too, as you said, like that self love, is I just did a time study or a time audit for myself of where I'm spending my time and what I'm doing. And for
Hmm.
me, I was not totally surprised, but still kind of surprised that my self care was so much smaller than anything else because I'm a mom and I'm got my business and I'm a wife and I'm just trying to do everything for everybody. And I realized like I need alone time sometimes. I need time just to myself to recharge. And I love that we're bringing all of this up. So there's a lot of people like me listening right now that need to hear this too. So let's dive into the E. So experiment. What does that mean to you, and what should we be doing? How should we be experimenting?
Well, we talk about biohacking, but you have to look at life as like you're the N of one, right? In studies they talk about the N is your participants, your study
Yeah.
participant number. But you're the ultimate experiment, and there's so much bio individuality that you have that you're not like anyone else. And there's no study, as much as I love studies, there's no study with 8 billion people. So what a good study ends with, when whether it's 20 people or 200 people or even 2000, they'll say this is what we found in this study with these certain parameters, and we need to do more research. And that's it. Like there's no like uh whenever you hear proof, like scientific fact or proof, that is marketing. That is not science.
Hmm.
I don't know if that's my beeping, sorry.
That's okay.
um but that's not good science, and we're individuals. So I like focusing on, yes, I'll take a study, and yes, that'll guide me, but I'm going to say this may or may not work for me. I'm going to see. I'm going to
Hmm.
use the best data available, but if it doesn't, then I won't adopt that. And I like to do one thing at a time. That's the scientific
Right.
method, not shotgun like 6 million things, so that you know what is working, what is changing. You can be more mindful of your
Right.
body, right?
So
Like if you,
trying
right.
keto with
Yeah.
fasting with this new bulletproof coffee and then be like, I had the best week and you have no idea what it was. Yeah.
That's exactly it. Exactly. So yeah, doing one of those at a time, and like maybe 2 weeks later adding in the fasting, or 2 weeks later after that adding in the bulletproof coffee. Exactly.
Hmm. Now, let's dive into the next part because it kind of feels like we're going there naturally, is that nutrition.
Yeah.
So tips, strategies, what are you pro and for and all of this, because there's so many different types of diets recommended.
Yeah, and I would say the easiest thing to say is Mediterranean. That has the most data.
Okay.
It's kind of the most easy to adopt. I
Okay.
mean, there's so many foods that can fit into that. It's fresh whole foods. It's fatty fish. It's olive oil. It's red wine. It's all these things, like healthy vegetables. It's easy to adopt. There's other diets that can work. Even these really restrictive diets can be really great for some people. Like there's not only paleo, but there's paleo autoimmune protocol, AIP, that's very restrictive, that you might start with if you have autoimmune issues, or people with autoimmune issues are having good luck with the carnivore diet, which is purely animal based.
Hmm.
But these are super restrictive diets, and they're hard to maintain. I
Right.
do keto. I've been doing keto for 20 years, and that's worked very well for me. But I have cyclical and targeted ketogenic dieting. So I allow carbs. I'm not like carb phobic.
Yeah.
And again, I think it's because of my metabolism, and that I've had issues in the past with obesity, that for me, keto works very well. But you can look all over the world, and it's not like you need to restrict carbohydrates necessarily. It's because of our 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 food supply is one part of it. We
Right.
have high glycemic carbohydrate. We have foods that have high bliss points, that food engineers literally make you overeat and trigger dopamine and serotonin in your brain, with the colors, with the texture, with the sweet, salty, fatty, crunchy. Like they put it all in there so you overeat. And it makes it super hard for most people to not gain weight in this
Right.
culture. And we don't take the time, like I've gone to Sardinia, we don't take like 3 hours to eat dinner with family and friends where it's community based, you know?
Mm-hmm.
We don't slow down that much. We have our
Right.
phones on the table. If we're eating in the
TV's
car,
on. Yep.
TV's on. Yeah, like we're shoving stuff down our face, you know, it's at the vending machine. And it literally is like triggering it's like a psychosomatic connection where it's triggering like the um, sympathetic nervous system. So it's like fight or flight when we eat food
Right.
versus like in Sardinia where it's relaxing and it's parasympathetic, it's rest and digest. Like when
Mm-hmm.
they see food, when they eat food, you know, they pick the food, they prepare the food, they cook the food, they commune over the food, they talk, they slow down. It's just a very different experience. So
Mm-hmm.
and then most people in other countries of the world uh, don't feel bored, don't are you know aren't eating in those kind of situations, can't afford to eat like that. They don't have the food availability like we have, and they might be fasting because of religious reasons, or they might be starving because there's again not the food available. They work very hard, maybe manual labor. So there's just a number of different situations that the rest of the world can eat carbs and it's just different from us. So
Mm-hmm.
I think keto works very well in America where we're overeating and you may have some metabolic damage of sorts. And it can help with that insulin resistance and that obesity. It's extremely helpful. So for me, that's been incredible. I get cognitive clarity, very much like kind of doing the fasting
Mm-hmm.
and the bulletproof coffee, like you're talking about. So it's just another piece to that puzzle that works well.
Okay.
But I've been able to maintain it for 20 years because I allow myself 1 day a week where I have carbs, and then sometimes when I'm doing high level sports or working out, then I have some carbs too.
Got it. So you do fast.
Definitely.
Okay.
I do a
Definitely.
16 and 8 intermittent fast. And then once a month, I'll do like maybe a 72-hour fast.
Okay. So you do, so just so people, if they're paying it or if they don't know what this means, so an 8 hour eating window is what you basically do. So let's say like 11 to 7 is when you're eating during the day.
Correct.
Okay.
And the latest data shows that it's ideal to do it with the circadian rhythm, meaning like during the daylight window. That's
Okay.
the best time to choose those 8 hours.
Oh shoot. What if it turns like dark here at 4:30 in the winter? I live in
You start eating
Wisconsin,
early.
okay? Oh man. Yeah, so I typically and I kind of do mine based off of my schedule of when I can eat, like what makes sense. So I've been breaking my fast around, I would say maybe 10:30, 11 in the morning is when I'll eat my lunch. And then my goal is to be completely done eating dinner. I probably eat dinner around 6 o'clock. So that's kind of when I found my groove. But I will say I've been intermittent fasting for maybe it'll be almost 2 years and I love it. I love it because it's just one less meal that I have to think about preparing or figuring out or making a bad decision. Right. Like having that, actually, we'll get to that in a minute because that's routine. But I think it's so powerful. So I love intermittent fasting. I'm happy to hear you say you do
I
that.
agree. And that helps with that insulin resistance scenario too. It helps
Yeah.
sensitize you to ketones and using them for fuel.
Hmm.
But also like extended fasts, I feel like really help as far as the mental component of feeling like you need food. People will tell you, oh, I'm low on blood sugar. Like you can't make it like a whole day. Like, you know, I've been 3 days out and feeling just fine. And they're like, I would be on the floor. I could, it's not true. None of it's true. Like you can go many days without eating.
Yeah.
Your body will tell you that you're hungry in the schedule that you're used to eating.
Hmm.
Like if you're used to eating once a day, then that's when you'll feel hungry. If you're used to eating 6 times a day with small meals, then you'll feel hungry all day long.
Yeah.
But once you do this, you'll feel that empowerment of not needing to eat, not that you don't have to eat to survive every 6 hours or whatever it is. It's super empowering, and you'll feel like I would say at about 30 hours, 36 hours in is when you start to kind of shift over and stop feeling hungry, and you start getting mental clarity.
Mm.
And it's really amazing. And if you're already doing things like keto or fasting or MCTs and things like that, then you'll transition even faster. Like
Right.
it'll be easier for you.
I love that. Why should people be intermittent fasting? Like, what are a couple, just like 2 or 3 reasons that it it is something we should consider?
Yeah, it goes back to that rest and digest thing, right? Like
Okay.
the parasympathetic, we're way too sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight all the time. We're, like I said, weaving in and out of traffic. We
Yeah.
like the shows even late at night that are violent and sex and whatever. And, we drink our coffee and race off to work. And there's no time for breathing, meditation, gratitude journaling, like all that kind of stuff, like relaxing stuff. We don't like yoga or whatever. That's not really a part of our lives.
Yeah.
So this helps with that. And then you're also entering into what's called autophagy. So that means cleaning out those cells, and it's massively anti-aging. You're also lowering, like I was talking about before, blood glucose and need for insulin, and then you're raising growth hormone, which is anti-aging too. So there's a number of things that, like, when you do this, it's really good for your body to repair itself and allow it to do other things than eating, digesting, breaking it down,
Yeah.
using it, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I remember the first time I ever heard about intermittent fasting, and this woman was saying how she wakes up at 5 and she doesn't eat until 11. And I remember my first reaction was, how is that possible? Like, I just couldn't even fathom somebody doing that. And I mean, that's pretty much what I do. I'll wake up around 5 and I'll eat around 10:30 or 11. And if you're listening right now thinking like that's crazy, I mean, there are so many studies behind it showing why, like you just said, Shawn. So thank you for sharing that. Okay, exercise. What I know this, so many people say like every day, or some people are saying once every 2 weeks, or you only need this, or what do you think we need to do for exercise?
Well, there's some really good data on a certain type of exercise that's really changing things pretty dramatically. The old, what they call slow go cardio or
Yeah.
low intensity steady state, where you're just keeping a pace, like on a treadmill, on a
Mhm.
Peloton, whatever. Yes, you're burning calories. Yes, you're moving your body. Yes, your heart is pumping. And those are all good things, but you can accomplish more in 5 minutes than you can in an hour by doing high intensity interval training. And what it is basically your body is the great homeostatic machine. Like it likes to stay the same, it balances itself out. And so for you to change, you have to uh, you have to push your body to near maximum levels of exertion, like 95, 100% level of exertion. So, an example of high intensity interval training would be whether it's on a bike or on a treadmill or just running out on the road, it would be full out sprints and then going back to jogging. Or if that's too hard for you, then going back to walking,
Mhm.
and then you kind of work your way up on like what that is. So like you'll have longer and longer sprints in terms of duration of time,
Yeah.
but then you'll be exhausted, and then if you're well adapted, maybe you can just go back to jogging, but if it's newer to you, just go back to walking. But it's going back and forth from just bursts. That's that interval training, and it's so effective, and it's so like you'll be wiped, and you could have
Right.
a great
15
workout.
minutes, 10
And yeah,
minutes.
yeah, exactly.
And
So
this is probably perfect for a lot of people listening who can't squeeze in workouts. You can squeeze in a 10, like this morning, I did a 15-minute hit Peloton workout. Like to me, that was perfect because I just didn't have a ton of time, but I still felt really good. So, how often would you recommend doing hit workouts?
only about twice a week.
Okay.
And then other times I like to get in some weight training. I think it's really good. One of the best markers of longevity that they've shown is actually grip strength.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I did not
So
know that.
like, yeah, because it shows a lot of things. It shows like your muscular strength, how much the dexterity in your hands, like so they've shown that people that have the best grip strength just live longer. So it, you have to lift weights.
I was gonna
You
say, is
have
that the
to.
only way we're gonna increase that is basically lifting weights?
Yeah, it's resistance training. I mean, you could use bands if you're out on the road.
Okay.
You can definitely do some body weight only resistance, like push-ups and things like that. But I mean, by and large, it's great if you can get into the gym or if you have some weights at home to, yeah, use some weights and do that on a regular basis. And then I like to do something just athletic that's fun and I enjoy. You
Right.
have to make it fun to stick with it. So I do like sand volleyball, but whatever it is for you, like try and bring some elements of fun to it. And lately there's things like maybe CrossFit's a little too intense, but there's these Camp Gladiators, there's Spartan races, there's
Mhm.
F45, where they're doing some stuff to mix it up.
Yeah.
And it's called metabolic conditioning. It's kind of like in between weight training and high intensity interval training is this metabolic conditioning. That's kind of that hybrid, like that most people know as CrossFit. But that's kind of gone more mainstream, and we're seeing
Mhm.
like kind of fun versions of it. And that's what I would say is like make it fun so that you stick with it.
Yeah. And I think I was just gonna say the same thing. Find what you like. Like, don't just hear that I do something or Shawn does something. What's something you enjoy? Like, what sounds fun to you? And you might need to experiment, like Shawn said, to figure out what that looks like if you don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it could just be shooting hoops in the driveway or going,
Yeah.
out to a golf course or whatever kind of excites you and gets you outside, I think is a great thing.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about routine because I was almost going to go there. I'm a big routine girl. I just like make it easy on me because I feel like if I have to create a new routine, not a new routine, if I have to figure this out every day and wing it, it takes more energy, right? So, how do you make a routine? What does that look like?
Yeah, so that definitely includes first off, I like gratitude journaling. That's a big part of this. I like getting up and doing some deep breathing, some just mindful meditation, saying some like daily affirmations before I roll out of bed. All that takes like 5 minutes.
Right.
And then I can grab a journal, and that takes about 5 minutes to say what I'm thankful for. And that comes very easily after you've done some deep breathing, after you've told yourself whatever the affirmations are that you need, like I'm healthy, I'm happy, I'm going to have a great day. It
Yeah.
can just be as simple as that. And then yeah, just be mindful, be connected, and then go into your gratitude journal, say the things you're thankful for, and then start listing out the things that you need to tackle today, and just list like some big items. It's always important to start with the bigger ones. Then I like to go take the dog for a walk, potentially get outside, do some grounding. They've shown
Hmm.
that's very helpful, like to go bare feet and connect with the geomagnetic
Yeah.
forces, connect with the earth. You're also like doing some sun gazing, getting in that vitamin D. They've also talked about forest bathing. If you're around nature, you're getting that oxygen, CO2 circulation between you and the plants, and all that stuff is amazing. So if you can
Okay.
do that, that's
I
great.
will tell
Yeah.
you, when I came home from an international trip last year, I went
Uh,
outside barefoot and I did grounding. My husband thought I was crazy, but I swear to you, I went to Italy 2 years ago. I
mhm.
came home and for 2 weeks, I was so messed up. Then last year, I went to Spain. I came home, I did grounding, and I swear, I bet within 2 days, I was back to normal. It was
Yeah.
a major difference.
Yes, it really does work. And people think when I talk about grounding, when I talk about forest bathing
Yeah.
and sun gazing and all this stuff, that it sounds so crazy.
Hmm.
But we're in an artificial box with artificial light, with artificial floors,
Oh,
eating
yeah.
artificial food, and watching an artificial life on an artificial box. And we're saying that's normal?
Yeah. Well, and even me here in Wisconsin in the middle of winter when I can't open up my windows and I'm breathing in just stale air all day long, just going outside for 5 minutes or for a few quick, like, deep breaths just kind of get me back, like, refreshed, I would say.
Yeah, yeah. And when people like are stressed out, they go, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's when you do that, you're actually your body will relax. You're forcing your body to relax. That is another psychosomatic thing. It's kind of like, the fake it till you make it. When you smile like that, you
Yeah.
actually feel better. When you release air like that, when you have a deep breath, you do relax. So, and it's just like one of the reasons why people love smoking is that they're actually taking deep breaths,
Oh,
right?
that
So
makes
like
so much
they're
sense.
stopping, they're slowing down, like
It's
so
relaxing, right.
exactly. So now you start connecting that with the cigarette and you don't actually need the cigarette. You can just go
Yeah,
outside and take some deep breaths. So
I
what
love
I'm
that.
saying so far isn't necessarily a lot of time. And then you can go work out. I like to do that first thing in the morning.
Okay.
And then I take a cold shower after that, like
Ugh.
me.
I
I know that's
know.
hard
So
for some
explain
people.
the cold shower thing. I'm just like, "Oh, I can't do it." I'll do it sometimes and I can do it for 30 seconds. I'm a baby.
It does something. It increases brown adipose tissue activity, which increases your metabolic rate.
Yeah.
It also reduces inflammation, increases growth hormone, improves like healing and growth factors. Like it's crazy all the things that it does. And it works even better if you do like what's called contrasting, where you go from like a hot sauna or a hot shower
Okay.
to a cold shower. It can work even better because the delta between the temperatures is even greater. But it's a great way to feel alert. Like no matter how tired I am, I will feel alert for at least 4 hours just from the cold shower.
Okay.
But that's up to you.
So my
Then
strategy
yeah,
is I get in a hot shower and then at the end I just try to turn it cold for a little bit. Does
yeah,
that do
that's good.
anything?
Yes,
Okay.
that's good. That's not bad. Yeah. Just try and get your head under. That
Okay.
actually is one of the most important things.
Oh, okay, good. Good to know.
Um, and then when I get to work, whether work's at home or work is somewhere else, try and knock out one big thing before you get into emails, before you get into all that stuff, before you go down the rabbit hole. If you want to feel successful, go back to your list of what you needed to get done today and get that one big task. Maybe it's a 2 hour chunk out of the way, and now think about what you've done. Like you've connected with Mother Earth, you've said some good things to yourself, you've relaxed into the day, you've had a good workout, you took a cold shower, you've knocked out some big thing. And now, maybe now's the time you're going to break your fast and eat. And see, now you've done your fasting, you have
Right.
clarity, and then you start rolling into your day, and then you can check your email and those kinds of things. And then in the evening, sleep hygiene is critical. Keeping devices out of your bedroom. Keeping that a what they call sleep fortress. Like again, like your mind connects so many things, makes shortcuts with things. So you don't want to make the bedroom be a room of stress. You don't want it to be a place where there's Game of Thrones and Dexter and your office computer and all these things
Right.
just going crazy in there. Like you want to make it a place of relaxation,
Yeah.
and that's key. And then keeping that circadian rhythm on track, where you're eating at the same time in late afternoon, evening, where you're getting ready to go to bed at around the same time, because you actually can get what's called like social jet lag. Just like when we travel to Europe and we have jet lag coming back because we've traveled across time zones, we get the same thing from staying up late on Saturday or Friday, and instead of going to bed at 10 p.m. we go to bed at 2 or 3
Right.
a.m. You actually have social jet lag. So it really hurts your circadian rhythm and therefore adjusts sleep quality, and then has an impact on insulin resistance, on risk for heart attack, and all kinds of things. So keeping your sleep on track is super important. And I like to use this. This is called a
Oh, what do you have?
Manta. It's called a Manta sleep mask. And you see how it
Okay.
has like little cups
Yeah.
like for your eyes, so you can open and close your eyes. And I just travel with this thing everywhere because hotel rooms are obviously the worst when so much light gets in underneath the gap of the
Yep.
door. There's light from the parking lots. There's all the little LEDs on the TV, the microwave, the fire, detector, and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really important to reduce that light pollution and get a deep night's sleep.
Okay, I love that. I'm checking those out. One thing I will say is when I heard about the social jet lag, I can't tell you how big of a game changer it was to keep my bedtime the same time, even on the weekends. I mean, it's
100%.
easier now because I'm old and I don't really do anything on Saturdays and or Fridays and Saturdays. So to go to bed at 9 o'clock is not a big deal. But back in the day, that was just not. You're right. We would up the time we would go to sleep, and I feel like I get so much done now on the weekends in the morning because I'm still getting up at 5 or 6 because of my circadian rhythm. So that has been huge for me. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Definitely. You're right.
Okay, I know we have to wrap up. So really quickly, the growth and you and your tribe are the last two things. Can you just give us like a sentence or two on what that means to you?
Yeah, so growth is stoicism, like the obstacle is the way. It's a
Mm,
mindset where you actually treasure the things that are bringing adversity into your life, and you have to overcome that adversity and you become stronger in that process. It
yeah.
becomes a mindset where you continue to see the glass half full, essentially. So that's a growth mindset where it's not like, oh, really again? Just my luck. That's the opposite way of this kind of thinking.
Yeah.
This is really a mindset that will change your life if you have a growth mindset. So look into stoicism, look into Ryan Holiday, great author.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like fasting is a part of that kind of growth mindset and will help you be empowered and overcome self-limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
Your tribe is the most key thing. Like, you are a product of the five people closest to you. You've heard that before, but having that tribe of mentors, having that tribe of people that are around you that are a true social network that really
Mm-hmm.
have your back when the chips are down, that becomes something so critical. The longest study ever done is the Harvard study. It's over 80 years now, and they found the number one factor in longevity was quality of relationships, more
Wow.
than cholesterol and heart rate and disease risk and socioeconomic status and gender and ethnicity and whatever. They found that was the number one predictor of longevity is quality of relationships.
Wow. That's huge. And here's the thing, I mean, it doesn't surprise me when you hear of stories where loved ones will die so closely at the same time. Like this person passes and then, the spouse passes very soon after. So it is so important to be building those relationships and having that support system. Shawn,
Yes.
thank you so much. This has been so great. Where can people go grab your book? Can you share anywhere on social that you want people to connect with you?
Yes, thank you so much. So energyformula.com will be my book. Shawn Wells, SHAWN Wells is my website, shawnwells.com. And then I'm at Ingredientologist. I'm the scientist of ingredients on all the social platforms.
Yeah, you guys go connect with Shawn. He is amazing. I'm so grateful to have you in my tribe. So thank you for being here and thank you for sharing your brilliance with everybody. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already, and then hit that notification icon so you never miss another video again.